with a bit of military precision. Give us a rundown of Peter Charles Tinley's early life.
My early life, well, yes, not exactly one I reflect on with great fondness. I grew up in this town and spent time as a teenager in the 70s, mid-70s, went to John Curtin Senior High School before it was a select college of the arts. When I went to John Curtin, if you remembered your mouth guard, it was a good day.
So not on an art scholarship?
No, not on an art scholarship. You fight your way in and fight your way out. So yeah, I went to John Curtin after several other schools. That's kind of where I ended up. And got through year 10 just, and I was probably advised that maybe I wouldn't want to come back then the following year. It was a special select out school, and so I went off farming and odd jobs and all sorts of different jobs, worked in a titanium mine, did all sorts of things, but got in trouble pretty much. Got in a fair bit of trouble. So I understand from one side of the coin about juvenile justice system, and from the other I understand that there's a strong family is fundamentally important to actually trying to get out of those sort of situations you're in, and I was. The thing that really saved me, I suppose in those early days, was I was a member of the Fremantle PCYC. I was doing boxing and basketball like many other kids at the time, and the sergeant, this is a really good story about a positive interaction with a uniform, not a negative one, and the sergeant, who was the local Palmyra sergeant, he could see where I was going in my various visits to what was then called Crane House, which is the juvenile courts. He said, "I can see where you're going, Tinley." And I said, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "You're just bored." I went, "Oh, I don't know about that." I mumbled, looked at my feet, and he said, "Ever thought about joining the army?" And I went, "No." But I got on a bus and I went down to Corner Row and Adelaide Terrace down there and saw the glossy posters, and that was it. 25 years later, the army career over.
What was the response or initial reaction from your parents when you told them that it had been recommended you get some straightening out in the army?
They were very supportive, but I later found out as I left the room there was a lot of fist pumping about he's out of here, so it's good. There's very, very supportive. My parents have always been very supportive. I lost my mum fairly early in the piece with cancer, so it was a lot of turbulence for. I was 19, I think, at that time, but it was still a young 19-year-old. So yeah, it was.
And you ended up at the Royal Military Academy?
No, not initially. I joined as a soldier, as a digger. As they say, I went to Kapuka, which is the basic training, and went to Brisbane as a posting, and then heard of this thing called the Special Air Service Regiment, which seemed like a good idea because it was pretty boring in the battalion that I was in the 80s, and I really didn't know what it was about, but with some youthful enthusiasm I passed the selection course to get in, which is basically a 21-day can you hack it food and sleep deprivation program.
You did hack it?
I hacked it, or they weren't watching and I slipped in, but I got in, and so I came back to Perth in 1983 and joined the SAS.